So, imagine you're an 18-year-old who just graduated from high school. Finally have your high school diploma and you're ready to take on the world. Like most teenagers, you have big dreams. You want to be rich and successful. After your graduation, your parents sit you down for a talk about your future. They tell you that a degree is the ticket to success and that you have to go to college. They say that if you don't have a degree, you work at McDonald's for the rest of your life. So you're convinced that your parents know best and want to go to college to get higher education. But you have a bit of a problem. For the past 12 years, you've been shoved around by teachers and bells telling you what to do and where to be all the time. Almost everything was decided for you. You never learned the necessary responsibility to make big decisions for yourself, and now you're thrown in the deep end. You don't know what direction you want to take your life in or what you should study. But college is the road to success, so any degree should be better than no degree. Besides, during those 4 years, you'll be able to find your direction and build useful connections. So you decide to flock off to college with the rest of your mostly directionless high school graduates. But how are you supposed to choose a college to go to? There's so many options. You start looking at the different colleges available. But as a young and free teenager, you won't prioritize what actually matters when it comes to higher education. You won't rank colleges based on what professors they hire or the quality of their courses to decide which one to go to. You might think you do, but in the end, it's their fancy campuses, the recreational activities they have, and the amount of luxury and comfort that's going to buy you over. And colleges know this very well. That is why they spend so much money on their campuses and recreational activities to try and compete with each other.
You've probably heard about skyrocketing college tuition, but what you may not know is what many colleges are actually doing with all that money. Pouring it into perks, from upscale eateries to top-of-the-line movie theaters and even water parks. Students living it up in luxury dorms like never before. Here's ABC's Mara Scavacampo.
It's a water park that rivals even those at top resorts. A 25-person hot tub, a wet deck for tanning, a diving well, water slide, all wrapped within a 64-foot lazy river. But this isn't Turks and Caicos, it's Lubbock, Texas. And the 2-acre water park is just one section of the Student Recreation Center at Texas Tech University.
I just heard of a couple friends that go to universities that just have like lap pool kind of deals, and it's just cool to tell them about our luxurious river.
With competition for tuition money ramping up, schools now justify the high cost of construction as important for recruiting and keeping students. And at Texas Tech, the $8.4 million water complex is doing its job.
I was like, sweet, a pool.
Enrollment this year is at an all-time high.
I wanted to come here for my major specifically, but when I saw that they had a lazy river, that definitely moved it up on my top priority list.
As a result of all these extravagant purchases, colleges have raised their tuition insanely high. College tuition has increased at 4 times the rate of inflation since the 1980s. You're paying this high for all the luxuries and distraction that you'll get along with your education. Oh, but so what? It's a once-in-a-lifetime experience. You want to have fun while you're still young and free. But then comes another problem. This amazing 4-year experience comes with a heavy price tag. And you come from a middle-class family. You don't have $40,000 laying around the house. A few of your lucky classmates manage to get scholarships, but you won't have such a luxury. So like most students, you'll have to get a student loan. But you have practically no money skills and you don't understand much about loans. You certainly have known nothing about the serious financial constraints such a loan can create. But all your classmates are getting loans, so hey, going $40,000 in debt at the very start of your academic career can't be such a big deal. It's normal.
Did not really think about the finances. Looking back now, seeing state school was so much less. That never crossed my mind. I knew that college was expensive and, I just thought everybody took out student loans and that's just how you did it, unless you had millionaire parents or something. I think my mom believed like me that it was just a process. If you do the right things, if you go to college, you get the good grades, then it should all just kind of work out. So I don't think she really worried about the finances as much. She did make it clear from the beginning that she wouldn't be able to pay for it and that it would be all on me.
I myself didn't go to college, so I didn't have a whole lot of experience with it. And Jesse was the first one out of my kids that was going to college, so I didn't ever really plan on it, I guess.
Because of the cultural normality of student loans, over 45 million people in the US have student debt.
Took about $18,000 in total. As for grad school, oh gosh, I initially had a full ride the first year, and then the second year came, I talked to financial aid and they were like, surprise, you only had a full ride for your first semester. And so I ended up taking about $100K extra in student loans that should have never been taken out.
I went to law school and I studied abroad, so I have a little bit of loans from that, but school was actually less expensive. A huge portion of my loans are from 1 year of grad school I did when I moved back to the States. I originally had about $75,000 in loans from that 1 year of grad school. It's now up to almost $150,000.
When I was debating taking out loans, it wasn't really a question. The federal government allows first-year undergrad students who are dependent to take out about $5,500 worth of loans. Although I knew it was a huge financial commitment to take on, especially at such an early stage in my academic career, I decided to take that out just because I thought it was worth coming out here for.
Student debt has risen to over $1.7 trillion. To put this figure into perspective, that's the gross domestic product of Canada. Getting a student loan has become so normal that most students don't even give it second thoughts. But that can't be such a big deal. Surely they will easily be able to repay this debt once they have their degree and land that high-paying dream job, right? Well, not exactly. Half of the students who get a loan to go to college are still paying off that debt 20 years later.
I'm 27 years old and I still have 16 years to pay my loans because I have the 20-year repayment plan, which guarantees the lower payments, which are what I can afford right now. And this means that I'm gonna end up finishing paying my loans when I'm 42 years old. So that's not really when people want to get their starter home.
There are even cases where people are taking their loans to the grave.
We met Serafina Galante on the campus of San Diego State. Galante had to pause making payments 4 times for various life problems. But the bigger issue, she got older. She can only work part-time. Her monthly payment, $176, is income-based and doesn't even cover the interest.
This is going to follow you forever.
This will follow me to my grave.
Student loans have completely gotten out of hand and many people are drowning in debt. But still, people are getting more and more loans, not realizing just what a nightmare they might create for themselves in the future.
Your U.S. Department of Education student loan servicer.
How do you feel getting those messages?
Oh, it gives me anxiety, because I know I have to face paying this.
Patricia Rizzo took out 7 Parent Plus loans over 8 semesters to get her daughter Emily Rizzo through Skidmore College.
Would your daughter have been able to go to school without the Parent Plus loan?
No. This was the bulk of the tuition. The scary part is how much interest it accrues over time. The principal is $100,000, but I accrued $26,000 in interest, and this is my balance right now, $126,167.
What started as a decision to improve her daughter's future has now impacted the possibilities for her own.
And what I'm looking at right now is paying it over 20 years, which will make me 82.
82? What about retirement?
I can't think about retiring.
Student loan is not a fixed amount that you have to pay off, but a beast that will constantly grow.
I'm on income-based repayment, so I make really small payments. They call it negative amortization, where I'm now accruing interest on the interest. In my mind, I was thinking, well, I'm gonna be a lawyer, I'm gonna make tons of money. I know it's gonna take me some time, but I'm gonna pay off these loans. And I'm paying interest on the interest, and I'm not even paying all of the interest in each payment.
Student loans have gotten so large that the government has to start creating student loan forgiveness programs to relieve many students of their debt, because for so many there is simply no hope of them paying it off themselves. But you don't know anything about the potential nightmares of a student loan, so you decide to go to college, get a student loan, and decide to major in business. But the problem with college does not end with student loans. You are going to college to get an education for a good career, or so you thought. You see, colleges aren't optimized for education and preparing you for work. College courses are dragged out over years, with most of the information being taught being theory and lacking practical real-world implications. A lot of the information is outdated and taught by a professor who is just explaining it from his own schooling, not from real-world experience. That's because college was originally a place for the elite to preserve and pass on scientific and philosophical information, not a place to learn practical education you can use for a career. These days, knowledge is essentially free. The internet has made knowledge accessible to everyone for little to no cost. If you simply have the desire and the drive to learn, you can teach yourself anything for free, and in the fraction of the time that college would have taken. But you obviously didn't know any of this either, so you get to your class to learn about business. The professor is a 6-year-old man who's never even ran a business. You're learning about abstract concepts and theories. Some of it is important, but you're not learning any real-life skills and empirical knowledge that you're going to need to run a business. And instead of explaining the application of the concepts you're being taught, you're learning about how the test will work and tips and tricks on how to answer the questions more easily. College is obsessed over test results, instead of true comprehension of skills and information. The numbers in your exam are much more important than what you're truly learning.
Well, Bart, it's a 59. That's another F.
Oh no, I can't believe it.
This leads to students to cram for exams to get good grades, memorizing information to do well on the test, just to largely forget what they learned afterwards. Because college is not so much oriented towards practical education and focuses on grades, it doesn't show any evidence of exceptional ability. The degree and good grades just prove to a potential employer that you can get your boring assignment done before its due date. It doesn't mean that you have good critical thinking skills or great creativity or innovation skills.
You don't need college to learn stuff, okay? Everything is available basically for free. You can learn anything you want for free. It is not a question of learning. So I think colleges are basically for fun and to prove you can do your chores, but they're not for learning.
When students finally graduate, they think that all their sacrifice and hard work will pay off, and now they will be able to start living. However, more problems are in sight. Unlike in your parents' days when a degree had great value and a competitive edge, degrees have become inflated. Back in your parents' days, only around 10% of Americans had a college degree, which gave anyone with a degree a massive advantage over people with only a high school diploma. But that figure has risen to close to 40%. Not only have degrees become inflated, but companies have started to realize that a degree does not mean that somebody is an eligible employee or that they have any good skills whatsoever. Companies like Google, Apple, and Tesla no longer require a degree to get employed. They're starting to value practical skills and competence over certifications, and more companies are starting to follow their example. Because virtually all knowledge has become accessible and free to everyone because of the internet, the only reason college has still any value is because of the certification it gives you. In a few industries, like medicine and law, a college degree still has a lot of value, but lawyers are only 0.36% of the population, and doctors are only 0.29%. So for the rest of the population, college should not be the default route. So now you sit with a mostly useless degree, 4 years of wasted time and sacrifice, and a massive loan aggressively compounding with interest. But there's more. Just like the college system, the school system also does not prioritize learning. It focuses on grades and tests and does little to prepare the students for the real world. However, the school system hides a much darker secret than the college system. If you'd like to hear the entire story, click on the video on the screen where I expose the evil purpose of school.